Hello and welcome to Life on Yarn. My name's Tina and right now I am on a quest to finish as many of my WIPs as possible before I move in 7 weeks. I started this project last week and I actually managed to finish 2 sweaters last week. One of them I knit a whole sleeve, and for the other one it was like half a sleeve that was missing. So that was a really cool start to this project, but we still have 7 weeks and I do have a lot of WIPs that need finishing. To motivate me in this whole process, I've actually devised a little point system. So whenever I finish parts of a sweater or the sweater completely, I get a certain amount of points, and then I can exchange those points for a little reward. At the moment, from last week, I have 6 points, and for the first reward I will need 15 points. So probably not this week, but I do hope that maybe next week I will be able to reach those 15 points and get my first reward. The main project that I want to tackle this week is my Brienne cardigan. It is a pattern that comes from the book Neons and Neutrals. This is a pattern collection that has been curated by Amy from La Bien-Aimée. And I chose to do the Brienne cardigan back when the book came out. I looked it up, it came out in 2023. So this has been on my needle either since 23 or maybe 24, but like, yeah, 2 or 3 years at the minimum. And basically this is a cardigan that is knit sideways. So you start with the first sleeve and you actually do this kind of a double cuff. So you first do the first cuff, then pick up the stitches into the second one, then you do the whole sleeve. At some point you separate for the back and the front, and then you knit to the center of the back, and then you do the same thing from the other side, sleeve and then to the center of the back, and then I had to join the 2 pieces here. I really like the construction and the details, like with the color blocks and then just bringing the contrast color in with a few little colorwork details. I think it's really cool. But one thing is, because it's knit sideways, when I picked up stitches for the bottom ribbing, basically I'm not picking up stitches, but I'm picking up rows. And I think I probably didn't think of that or just ignored it because it's way too wide, so it's really flaring out because I picked up all the rows, and I probably should have done like when you pick up stitches for a sleeve or something and just picked up like maybe either 2 in 3 or 4 in 5 or something like that. And maybe also choose a smaller needle because yeah, right now the ribbing is really flaring out. You can kind of maybe see it here. Like it's supposed to go this way, but it just goes like this. So before I can do anything else, I have to undo the ribbing and unravel it. The good thing with it being knit the way it is, I don't have to put in a lifeline or something. I can just completely take it out because there are no live stitches. But still, I have to unravel before I can do anything else. So yes, I need to unravel the bottom ribbing, redo it, then do the whole ribbing around like the neck and the fronts. I don't think there are buttons, I think it's just kind of a ribbing. And then the cardigan also has pockets. I don't know if I've ever knit anything with pockets actually. This might be my first project. Yeah, I think so. So I just had to knit this flap in the contrasting color, and then I have to see, I somehow have to sew it in here, so you have this, again you kind of find the contrast color on the inside of the pockets, which is really cool. But yes, this is the progress on my Brienne cardigan and everything that still needs to be done. The yarns I'm using, I'm sure when you look at it you think it is pink and black, but the black actually has kind of a pinkish halo to it. This is from the Nightshade series by Harrisville Design, and this is the colorway Stiletto. And then I matched it for the pink I'm using. This is Gilead by Direrum Natura. and I think it must be the color Confiture de Rose, like rose jam. I have to look at my Ravelry page because I don't have anything of it here, so I think I must have used it up completely. Probably was just like one ball. Either I bought it, but I think it might have been a leftover from a sweater that I made years ago. And then for the Harrisville design, I just have this little ball here, and then I have a starter cake like this. I feel like this should be enough yarn, because it would be really difficult to get something that matches this. But because I'm taking out the ribbing and then I'm doing it tighter, so like all the yarn that is in here, I won't need anything more than that for the rib. Sewing in the pockets I could do with another yarn, I suppose, and then I just have the whole color and ribbing situation to do, but I think it should be enough. Yes, so this is the big project I want to tackle this week, but before we can do anything, first we have to unravel, and second, I just have to look at all my notes, my Ravelry, to know what I've been doing, also kind of what needle size I have been using for the ribbing, because I think I want to use something smaller to make sure it is kind of tighter, and I can always like stretch it a bit once I'm blocking the cardigan, but right now it's just way too big. This is about as annoying to unravel as I thought it would be. Not only is it a sewn bind off, so I have to undo every stitch manually before I can start just ripping out, but also, as I said, the yarn has this kind of pinkish halo to it, and so it actually really is sticking to itself, so it's really annoying to do this. Button band is gone, we have to reknit it. And as you saw, I steamed the yarn lightly just to get some of the wiggles out of it. It is still a little bit wavy, but it's much better than before. And I just thought with the button band being kind of too open, too loose before, I just wanted to make sure that I can really knit it tight enough. And I feel sometimes with like a wiggly yarn, it can be a bit more difficult. So I just wanted to give myself the best chance. And also, I sized down a needle. I looked in the book, and in theory the cardigan is knit. Let me see. So the body is supposed to be knit with a 4.5mm needle, but I do know that I tend to be a kind of looser knitter, and I actually did the body in a 4. And then for the hem she uses a 4. And I used a 3.5 before, but I'm now actually going to use a 3. And then I have to see for the front bands if I'm also going to use the 3, or if there I do go with a 3.5, because there I know I'm still, no, yeah, because I will be knitting in the same direction as I did kind of for the front. And then when I add the button band, we're probably going to try it with a 3.5, but I have to do the bottom one first. So let's pick up some stitches. The stitches are actually really easy to pick up, or the rows I have to say, because I still can kind of see where the yarn was in before I undid it. And also I think I mentioned that I thought I might change the pickup rate and just kind of not pick up every stitch, but actually in the pattern she explicitly tells you to pick up all the rows. So I think we're going to do that again, and just I'm on a smaller needle and going to make sure that I knit maybe a little bit tighter, and I hope we're going to be alright. But I would really prefer for the button band to go in a little bit rather than going out as it did before, because I think first you can always stretch it a bit in blocking, and also I just find it nicer for a cardigan if it tapers in slightly at the waist instead of going out. It's halfway through the week, and finally I'm back where I started. On one side it's nice because I definitely feel like the ribbing looks much better now, much tighter, but it is also kind of a little bit depressing that all I did was like spend 2 days to get back to the point where I started. So the next step is to pick up all the stitches around the complete like front bands and neckline and then do the ribbing there. But I think I have to take a break from this project because my hand is actually kind of hurting. Because I feel like the yarn is, it's maybe kind of a little bit like felted. Not like completely felted, but basically there is no or very little stretch to it. And so I feel it's like a little bit like knitting with cotton or linen when the yarn is a bit stiff, that it can hurt your hand. So yeah, I think we have, maybe I will pick up the stitches because that won't be a problem. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'm going to pick up the stitches, then knit a little bit on another project, and then maybe come back to this and just do like 2 rows every so often, or I don't know, I have to figure out a rhythm, but I can't be knitting on this non-stop because I think it would kill my hands. I have started picking up stitches and I did it as she said in the pattern, like about 3 stitches in every 4 stitches, but it just looked very weird and far apart. And also because the cardigan is knit sideways, I'm actually not picking up in rows, but I'm picking up in stitches. So I feel like it makes much more sense to actually pick up every stitch. And I also looked at Ravelry, and quite a few people were saying that actually, that if you only pick up 3 and 4, it kind of gets all bunched together. And what they also said is that up here, where let me see, that like up here at the neck, it makes sense to, when you do the ribbing, do some increases so that it lays like nice and flat, because if not it wouldn't really, it just kind of flips up a little bit up here. So I think I'm also going to do that. I've done the pickup row and then I need 3 rows of the ribbing, but now I really need to give my hand a little break. So I got out another project. In here I have a started pair of socks, colorwork socks to be precise. The first one is finished, and this is the August sock from the very first colorwork cuff club by Summer Lee. She's on the 2nd year now of the cuff club, but this was the like one of the first socks that was released when she started the first round. And I didn't knit it back then. I think I started this just a few months ago actually. And so I knit the sock. So basically you knit like a pretty basic sock, and I actually did my sock pattern and not the one she has in the pattern, because she does them top down, but I just prefer to do my socks bottom up. So I did all the way to here, and then I did the little, I think the pattern is kind of supposed to be kind of crochet or granny square inspired. But yeah, this is my first sock. And then on the second one, I have to verify, but I'm pretty sure that I'm actually just at the part where I need to change to the colorwork section. But yeah, I have to figure everything out. And also, oh yeah, it's the main yarn is Rosario's for Maya in the color 119. And because the thing is, I started the first sock, I got to where I was supposed to start the color work, but I didn't have a mini circular needle in the right size. So while I ordered that and was waiting for it, I knit the second sock to this point. And this was a very smart idea, because this is everything I have left of the main color. like pretty much nothing. And it looks like in the color work, it looks like I have like the fuchsia, the lilac, the darker purple, and it looks like this kind of color, the lighter color on here, is the same as the main color, but it is actually a completely different skein of yarn. But because the pattern is so small, it kind of looks like it's the same yarn. So I'm going to do the same thing for this sock. Just instead of using the main color here, I'm going to use this yarn, and I think it will look pretty much the same. I said I wanted to knit the color work on this one. Well, I can't find any free mini circulars, and I really like to do color work, especially on socks like in the small diameter. I like to do it on the mini circulars just to get like a nice consistent tension, because I feel like I like magic loop, and I don't have a problem with like having gaps on the sides or something, but when it comes to color work, I do tend to get like a bit of a tension problem on the two sides. So I do like to do that with mini circulars. But now we have to change the plan, because the mini circulars that I need are on this sock. This is also one of the patterns from the Colorwork Cuff series, but this is the November one. So as you can see, I've done one kind of stripe of color work and then a little bit in the main color, and I think I just have a second stripe, or maybe it's 3 of them, we'll see. But so instead of continuing on this sock, I'm just going to continue on this sock, and then once this one is finished, I can take the needles off here and put them on here to do the color work. A bit complicated, but I don't know, I feel like I have so many knitting needles, but never the ones I need. I finished the first sock yesterday evening, so I finished the color work and then I did just like 10 rows of ribbing before I bound off. I actually figured out the color work isn't exactly like this in the pattern. At the bottom and at the top it just has another row with little dots, but I had decided to cut this out because the leg of the sock is already pretty long and I tend to like my socks kind of rather short. So my mini circular needle is free now to, in theory, knit on the September sock, but I have to head out in about 5 minutes, and it's not really a project that is easy to carry with me because I need all the different colors and the chart to look at. So I actually decided to take the second one of my November sock. I had cast the second sock on when I just needed a quick, easy stockinette project to take with me. So that's perfect for the car ride today. That's what I'm taking with me. I'm back home, and before I continue on my September sock, now that I have the mini circular that is free, I am going to put a few rows on the ribbing of my cardigan, because as I said, if I knit on it too much, it starts to hurt my hands, but at the same time I kind of want it to get finished. So the goal is just to always, before I pick up the sock or another project, put a few rows on this, and then I can do another project. It's done! I finished my Brienne cardigan. I'm so happy that it's done. So yeah, I finished the button band, I did a tubular bind off, and then I also sewed in the pocket lining, so I have pockets now. The cardigan definitely needs a good wash and block, because as you might see, like it has, like the ribbing has a tendency to flip out, and also where the pockets are, because it's like 2 layers, it's kind of just not very even at the moment. But I think, especially with it being like a yarn that's more on the rustic side and woolen spun yarn, I feel like it probably I should be able to even it out pretty well. I have to say, I don't know if I'm ever going to knit a garment that is knit sideways again, because I do feel, at least with this one, like I don't know how good the fit is. I will have to see once it's blocked, but I feel like, for example, here in front of this, here at the shoulder, I have like a very, just a lot of fabric that I don't know where it would go, and yeah, I don't know. We have to see once it's washed and blocked, but it is done. And something I've totally forgotten this whole video is I need to get some points. So I did the bottom ribbing and then I did the neckband. So I think for this cardigan I can get 2 points. And then I also finished one of my November socks. So that's another, well, theoretically I say it's 2 points for a sock, but I really only had to do the color work, like finish the color work. So I would say we just give it 1 point for that, which puts the total at 9 points, I think. I had to take the cardigan off because I was getting too warm. I just wanted to give you an update as well on my September sock. So I have started on the color work. It's not done yet, but yeah, this one is a really easy color work. I can knit like while I'm watching something or listening to something. Whereas the other one for the November socks, I feel like there I had to concentrate a little bit more. I'm saving finishing this one for next week, and I think I also want to finish the second November sock next week and then see what else we could do to reach the 15 points to get to the first reward, because I feel like I deserve a reward for everything I've finished so far. I'll leave it at that for this week, and I hope to see you again next week when I'm hopefully going to finish some more of my WIPs and turning them into finished objects.